Everyone checking in on the MJ space, a whole bunch of US and Canadian names, a good bit going on in the sector in terms of a lot of news coming out this morning. Before I get into it, some people wanting me to say company names and talk about the dual listed tickers and things like that. I'm just going to do my thing, and this is the kind of thing that we have to memorize as traders. If you have too much going on that you can't memorize the companies that you're interested in and the dual listed tickers, set aside an hour, go through my video, and every single time I say a ticker, go into TradingView, enter the ticker, it tells you the company name. If you enter the company name, it tells you the dual listed tickers. Sit there with a piece of paper or a spreadsheet open on your computer, manually enter this stuff in. The act of doing that alone increases your memory retention of these tickers. So these are things that we need to know like the back of our hand just to be able to pull up a chart. We need to know what both sides are, both tickers. We need to know what the company names are. And again, to just speed up the process and to not be reliant on others to tell us what these companies are, putting in that hour of effort will go a long way. And again, just another point for having a piece of paper near your computer with pertinent information on it right in front of you. So what we had today is some major news out of the MJ space, largest US marijuana deal, 800 plus million on the US side, 1.1 billion on the Canadian side. We'll talk about that as we get to it. Going to do Canadian names in the first half here and US names in the second half. S&P 500 all bull, highest price in 2019 and highest price that we've seen since the dump in the December lows. So CGC on the daily time frame here, we knew a daily lower high was coming because when you lose an uptrend and you see a significant pullback on the bounce, you look for a lower high. So we gap up opened to a lower high instantly and started pulling back for the majority of the day. So looking out on the hourly time frame, we did see a little bit of a bounce mixed in there, but then we just dropped down to lower lows. The bounce was off of the low. The play to be made on the bounce was off of the low from Friday. And if you look at the short-term time frames as we headed to that support level, we had the 5-minute RSI oversold, the 15-minute RSI oversold. So multiple oversold time frames heading to a key support, leading to a solid 2% bounce, and then just fading all the rest of the day. So if this hourly breaks and we lose 42.30 support and 42.14 tomorrow, then we zoom out to the daily, and that's our clear lower high being set at 43.69. The only play for the bulls here, and the only hope in the short term, is that we see a pullback, a higher low form compared to 40.56, and then a bull break over 43.69 to change the daily trend. Otherwise, we're heading back down towards that recent low and into the further downtrend. So all about 40.56 and whether or not a new support can be established compared to that level. And looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we need a clear higher low and then continuation to try and change the trend on this time frame as well. APHA is standing out today. And they did have news this morning about hemp-derived cosmetics in Germany. I don't think that's what's doing this move, but then again, I don't know much about the market for hemp cosmetic products in Germany. But I would suspect that the highest bull volume or the highest volume day that we've seen in 2.5 weeks is not coming based off that news. So significant buying, and you can see where the buying really kicked in today, and it's the new high of the day. So there was nothing for the bulls standing out here, just consolidation and weakness in line with everybody else out of the major Canadian MJ names. And then as soon as we hit the new high of the day, that's when the volume becomes notable. So look at the volume start to uptick as we make our way there. And as soon as we get there, then we get solid big time bull volume and big time follow through. And then as we consolidated here at the end of the day, it was just very healthy and we closed strong. It is a double top at the high of the day, 998. We might as well just call that 10 psychological as that double top resistance level. But overall, a very impressive day for APHA because what the bulls were able to do is break the previous daily lower high. So for all these other major LPs in the Canadian side, we're looking for daily lower highs. We got weakness in CGC, ACB, CRON, and TLRY today. Not the case for APHA. So it does stand out compared to its peers in that regard. The next resistance after 10 is going to be 1016. And on the hourly time frame, our short-term support is now 981 for the bulls to try and keep complete control into tomorrow. So definitely notable. It's sideways trading on the weekly time frame for the last 2 months in a row now, and definitely worth keeping an eye on things here because we could see these bulls make our way back towards the double top at 1068. Not going to happen right out of nowhere, in my opinion. We would probably need another daily higher low, but definitely a nice save, and nice to see that we didn't see, if we were in line with everybody else today, probably would have topped out at 950 and closed closer to the low of the day. So we look at ACB, and again, we had the gap up open, but a consolidation day without much for the bulls. This is the pattern that we talked about in the weekend video for the 4-hour inverted head and shoulders to be watching. So remember, it was the same pattern, very similar pattern to OGI, but left shoulder, head, right shoulder of consolidation. If we were unable to break 948, that's what we were looking for, and we were unable to break 948 by a couple pennies. So now we're looking for the 4-hour higher low to form, and then a break of that 948 level will change the daily trend. It'll give us our weekly higher low that we're looking for here, which is a healthy weekly higher low, very healthy consolidation at this point. It's just whether or not the bulls can follow through with this 4-hour change in momentum, and that's going to be on watch for the next 2 days. And if we get that break after 948, we're looking up at 987. Cron on the daily time frame, so a perfect example of no follow through. Didn't get a lot of follow through for the bears either, pretty much just a non-event. But we had a low of 1727, the high of 1928, the double top at that level. We did break support this morning by about 14 cents without any real follow through. So we're looking at 1807 to 1928 as the range that we're watching right now, and just patiently waiting for some kind of shift in momentum for the bulls to look for follow through, keeping in mind that anything on the daily under 2110 is just a lower high. So the bulls are not anywhere near breaking the daily lower highs like we saw APHA do today. It's just whether that 4-hour momentum can shift, which is what we're watching for on ACB, but the bulls on ACB are coming from a much better spot for that pattern, much more healthy for the bulls than we are here on Cron. So still keeping an eye on things, of course, for Cron, and we need to see that break of 1928 to shift that short-term momentum. TLRY continuing for the bears, down to 62.65 support, and we actually broke it just barely. Not a lot of follow-through at this point. You can see the spike in volume, certainly favoring the bears today. And again, after that low in the 62s, we're looking at 60 psychological and a lack of support nearby. Keeping in mind that TLRY is going to be a decent longer-term entry eventually. The question is, at what price is that going to be? Certainly don't know, but just the fact that we've been consolidating at this point for 6-7 months reminds me of Bitcoin, actually. But we'll be looking for a shift in momentum. We're not giving up on TLRY in terms of opportunity for bulls. There will be another opportunity once we do establish a new weekly support level and shift that momentum, but there's no sign of it at this point. VFF, news this morning and significant bounce. Again, these bounces on VFF are just beautiful. There's going to come a point in time where these bounces don't work anymore, but that time is not now. Low of the day to the high of the day, 8% bounce. The amount of bounces we've seen between 5 and 10% on VFF is pretty astounding, but as long as the overall S&P 500 stays strong, I believe that these bounces are going to continue. So we had the high of the day with significant profit taking, which was a rejection from resistance. We were unable to break the high of Friday, first thing. Profit taking, bulls buying the dip, lower high, higher low. 1971 is your bull break. If you wait, again, you don't have to trade in the first 15 minutes when things are the most hectic. Oftentimes we get patterns, tight patterns that develop into the morning, and just waiting on this pattern alone and playing the 1971 break up to the high of the day was a 4% move, and if you get half of that, you just got 2% on the day. So there are opportunities that present themselves if we're patient in the morning, oftentimes. So where we stand on VFF, the hourly chart gave us a little bit. It's not a clear higher low, but our short-term support is 1981, and the bulls want a clear break of 2055. I think the most likely scenario for VFF is our all-time high, low the pullback, and we are scouting for a daily lower high to be set compared to 24.25. So keep that in mind, because the loss of the hourly uptrend will be the indication that the daily lower high has been set, and then we look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 1676. So that's the most likely scenario. So that means I zoom in and I look for clues that that is playing out over the next couple of days as we scout a lower high. But no sign of it yet, as the bulls were able to close fairly strong today. T-God. So T-God is also in that 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern, similar to ACB, where we have our left shoulder, head, and this is the right shoulder trying to form, And it doesn't have to see a bull break right away. We can still consolidate down here. But if the bulls could turn around and break 492 and 508, that'll be a very clear, significant shift telling us our weekly higher low has been established. If that does not happen, we're going to look for the need for the bulls to form another higher low. So 473 is key short-term support, and the bulls are going to have to break 492 and then 508. Again, that's a pretty tall order for the bulls to fill in order to take out both of those resistance levels at once. And we're going to have to see a bull volume spike to do it, as volume has pretty consistently been dropping off for the last 2 weeks. So worth keeping an eye on, but not an ideal setup at this point, because even if we break 492, we still have another 4% to get to the key 508 resistance, which is the highest price we've seen in the last 8 trading days or so. TRST, so the bounce finally got going, gave us a daily inside bar. If the daily inside bar breaks bullish tomorrow, we know we're just looking for a daily lower high to form. If it does not break bullish, that's a red flag, because we saw a clear shift in momentum today where we held the low of Friday and we broke the high of the previous little bounce attempt, 1053. So as soon as we broke 1053 this morning, that was an initial signal for those bulls, and then we ended up getting some follow through from it. I had a small position that I was swinging in CTST. I sold that on the initial bull spike first thing this morning, just locking in some small profit, but wanting to take that profit because I was trading against the trend and just looking for an oversold bounce. So short-term key support on TRST, I'm looking at 1063 and 1046 as 2 key levels. Resistance is 1082, 1087, and $11. And again, how this inside bar breaks determines how we approach the day tomorrow. Because if we break it bearish, we're right back down at the low. And if we are unable to break 1087 tomorrow, that's also a bit of a red flag. Bulls should be able to see a bit of follow through now that we have built a base of support and shifted the hourly trend. And it's a scenario where if we do see the hourly trend continue, but no real follow through and no real bull volume, we will have to be cautious of a potential daily bear flag. It's too soon to say that. Tomorrow's trading is going to give us a lot more information as to whether or not it is a likely daily bear flag or not. But that is something that we are going to keep an eye out for. OGI, so beautiful follow through. Weekly higher low is now set. And we skipped the need for the 4-hour inverse head and shoulders. That's the same pattern on ACB. So this would be the left shoulder. This would be the head. And then we were looking for a right shoulder. Ended up just being a bull flag straight into a very strong close, breaking all kinds of resistance levels. So OGI is still strong. We're just looking up at the all-time high now. We got 941 and then 991 all-time high. And our new must-hold short-term level to keep the bulls in full control is 864 on the daily. So we knew the lower high and lower low without a lot of bear follow-through was potentially bullish on the weekly chart. And now we've got this follow-through to certainly act convincingly that bull momentum is back. So OGI, very nice close. Hexo is still tightening up. 4-hour equilibrium highlighted over the weekend video. And we're still in that pattern. Not really any change today. So low, high, higher, low. And we're wondering, is 908 our lower high? We don't have enough pullback yet. If we break the low of today tomorrow below 886, that will be our lower high clearly set. And we'll look for the higher low compared to 835. But if the bulls can turn around and break 922 tomorrow, that will put them on par with OGI and will be a very significant turnaround for the bulls there as well. PYX, here's an example of breaking key support and bears getting no follow through. So we broke support by about 80 cents straight into a V-shaped recovery. This is ideal scenario for the bulls when you break a support level. So we know that hourly higher low is likely to form from here because anything over 2287 is a higher low. But the most important resistance level for me is on the, I like it on the 4-hour, 2616. So here's another 4-hour inverse head and shoulders, actually just seeing it now, where we have the left shoulder, there's the head. If we cannot break 2616 and we need another higher low, that's that right shoulder that indicates consolidation has come to a close and the momentum has shifted back to the bulls. So if we can't break 2616 tomorrow, watch for that 4-hour higher low, similar to what we're looking at on ACB. OGI already broke bull. All right, let's go US now. So US, we had OH being bought by CL, and they both been running very strong, and we had a sell the news reaction which leads us to believe that, news was potentially known and it was a bit of a sell the news event. That being said, we did see significant buying at the low of the day all the way into the close. We have a conference call tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And while you might not like the details of the transaction, maybe you don't like the premium that was paid for OH or whatever, that's fine. But just broader picture, for me, this is bullish for the space. The reason being, number one, largest U.S. marijuana deal, yada, yada, yada. That's a headline. That catches attention. People are going to talk about that. Number two, it's a company now with a footprint of 750 plus dispensaries all around the country with a vast distribution channel. And it's now one of the major players, just like IAN, after the acquisition of MPX, entered the lead MJ name discussion. We're going to have that with CL once this deal goes through. I believe the voting is in June. So again, this is going to play out for a while. CL and OH charts are going to be linked. Their trading is going to be linked together with slight variations, just like MPX and IAN was back when we were waiting for their deal to go through. There's going to be a slight lag behind what the premium is going to be for the payout because of the small percent chance that the deal doesn't go through and doesn't get the votes it needs. Very small percent chance, but that just means the market cannot price it in as a sure thing because it's not a sure thing at this point. So we are very bullish on these names. The weekly charts have been running significantly. In the last month, we've seen CL go 57%, and in the last month, we've seen OH go even more. Well, no, even less. CL went more. 42%. So very overextended, and we're seeing some profit taking today. And that's not surprising, but keep in mind, CL, with the recovery at the end of the day, is the all-time high close today. So the hourly chart, we can see that today was just a slow fade the entire day. And then look at this. This is the bull saying, all right, that's enough. We're getting in now. Conference call tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., probably a catalyst for this end of the day bull surge, huge volume. And we are going to be watching for an hourly equilibrium. So if we can't break the all-time high of 1634, there's our range right there. And we would look for an hourly lower high compared to 1634 and then a higher low compared to 1456. That's the most likely scenario because of the amount of volatility that we've seen. That being said, increasing hourly bull volume, some attention from the conference call tomorrow, which could potentially be treated as a fundamental event. It is possible we could see an all-time high tomorrow. The percentage move needed for CL, we need about 70 cents. So we're looking at about a 5% move. Certainly possible, but still going to be watching for the potential of that lower high forming and the hourly equilibrium. So if you are trading CL, you have to be watching OH. And if you're trading OH, you have to be watching CL. They're now joined at the hip to a certain degree. So OH, daily time frame, bulls bought the dip. Again, this is the third highest close in the history of OH. So while we did see profit taking, it was the same thing at the end of the day. Bull volume kicks in a big way from that new low. The first go signal, the first red flag for bears and green flag for bulls is the new low of the day straight into the second highest 5-minute bull volume of the entire day. Let's see what the new low of the day looked like on CL. And we actually didn't get a new low of the day. Well, actually, let's see here. 110. And yeah, we didn't get a new low of the day. So that was a clue as well. If CL's not dropping to lower lows and it changes its 15-minute trend, that's only going to help the OH bulls. So OH, we're looking for an hourly equilibrium as well. Anything under 1230, we're going to call a lower high. Our support level is down at 1105, and we're looking for that lower high to be set compared to 1230. And the percentage move needed here is about 5.5%. So I do anticipate if I had to put money on it, I'd look for the hourly lower highs. And I may look to take some OH profit tomorrow morning if it looks like we're going to be unable to break resistance and if it does look like that hourly equilibrium is going to form. So again, these are now plays to be watching. Once they merge as a company, we are going to see a new major player in the space. LABS, blue sky breakout. And I got a position in LABS. Well, I got a position in the US ticker for LABS today on that blue sky breakout. Earnings are Wednesday. So I'm looking for a blue sky breakout run up into earnings. I'm going to be looking for some follow through tomorrow, but I'm going to be cautious and take profit before those earnings come, because blue sky breakout is not a gamble. Well, it's a gamble, but the gamble with the odds in my favor, earnings, is a complete gamble. So increasing bull volume, highest bull volume that we've seen, highest volume day in months, over a month. Really nice continuation. Low cap name that is a big mover with a little bit of volume. $3.75 and $4 are resistance that we're watching, and we establish an afternoon support level down at $3.56. So hourly uptrend intact. New all-time high at the end of the day. We'll see what kind of follow through we can get tomorrow, keeping in mind that we have run 25% in 3 days. TRUL, very nice follow through. So TRUL bulls, inside bar bull break, breaking key resistance levels nearby. The bull volume is standing out. Big bull volume, declining bear volume, big bull volume, low bear volume, increasing bull volume. That's exactly what you want to see as a bull. Resistance is 1944, 1977, 20, and then 2030. Hourly higher low for TRUL. We didn't establish one today. It was all bulls. So 1740, anything above that level is a higher low. So that gives the bulls comfortability to know that the next time we consolidate on the hourly, we're likely to keep the uptrend. So very clear that it stands out for strength. And my position size is I have a TRUL position, as I talked about, that I scaled into on this consolidation. And that just shows you the power of entering on consolidation in an uptrend. So I entered on two positions, one on the 25th and one on the 26th. I didn't even enter when we dropped to the lower lows on the 27th. But scaling into that position, I made an entry with the same position size as my IAN position. I've been holding IAN for, I believe, 3 months at this point. My TRUL profits are now 50% more than IAN, holding that play for 4 days, 5 days. So 5 days, because I scaled into consolidation, into an uptrend, and then we got the continuation, giving me significantly more profit than IAN, which over the last few months has seen some upside, but it also saw some significant consolidation. So for IAN, if you're entering on weekly consolidation, you're certainly up and very comfortable. So again, just to point out, entering on consolidation is ideal. And while I have a small OH position, I would love to enter on a weekly higher low. I was almost hoping that the bears would continue with this momentum that they had the first 3 quarters of today to try and get a weekly higher low over the next couple weeks. But it is something to keep an eye out for. Entering on consolidation in an uptrend. Keywords, in an uptrend. So TRUL, we have our support, we have our resistances, and a strong standout USMJ bull today. IAN has earnings after hours. I do not believe they've come out yet. The daily chart is just pretty much consolidating, waiting for earnings. If it's a bull reaction, we're looking up at 820. If it's a bear reaction, we're looking down at 651. I do not believe we're going to break either of those levels on the initial reaction. It's just going to push us in those directions to be watching either one of those levels. But we'll have to see how those earnings come out. I do not believe MPX is involved in these earnings, so expectations not too high. CRUA, daily time frame continues to tighten. So on the 4-hour chart, we've now got high, low, lower high is 1283, higher low is 1190, and we're getting real tight here. So 1190 to 1283. You could also use 1256 if you want to call that a lower high. There's not enough pullback for me to do so. I would be waiting for a break of one of these two ranges to indicate short-term direction. We've essentially been trading within it for 3 days now. Volume is completely dropping off. Look at that volume drop off. We were trading 7.5, 6.5, 3.5 million shares, and today it's 500,000. So a break is imminent, probably tomorrow. Watch for a volume spike tomorrow, more than 500,000 shares traded, and watch for a break of either 1190 or 1283 to dictate short-term direction. CWeb all-time high. Long lower wicks, 2 days of consolidation, bulls buying the dips aggressively and seeing continuation. Closing up at the all-time high, 30 psychological is now on watch, and our new daily higher low is 2434 and 2472. Those are the daily uptrend levels to keep strong. And that is a big time bull. So again, this is a name where I will be looking to enter on weekly consolidation, but currently not looking to enter. If I were looking to enter into this strength, it would only be day trades or short-term flips because of how extended we are. Granted, we are in blue sky breakout, absolutely, but just in terms of risk to reward, the fact that we have run in the past couple weeks 60% definitely makes some risk stand out. KHRN, this is a red flag. Number of red flags for a number of reasons. Number one, close at the low of the day. When's the last time we closed at the low of the day? We've been seeing lower wicks of bulls buying the dip, defending the low of the day, and closing the second half of the day, closing the end of the day with momentum in their favor. Didn't see that today. Uptick in volume, all bears, red Marabozu. Support after 366, very limited. So we had strong closes Thursday and Friday, but we don't have any resistance breaks. 426, lower high 417, lower high 398, lower high 395. If we break 366, we then zoom out, and the weekly equilibrium is going to then be the play that I'm looking for, as opposed to the 2-day cup and handle that we've been keeping an eye on. If we were to see a bear break of 366 and then see a complete turnaround V-shaped recovery like we saw on PYX today, that would be notable. But if that does not happen, weekly equilibrium will then be on tap as opposed to the potential cup and handle. The inability to break any of the resistances is the red flag. HARV, blue sky breakout. Extremely healthy daily consolidation. Inside bar broke bullish Friday without much follow through. Certainly got the follow through today on an uptick in volume. And we're looking at 14 psychological, 14, 10, 20, 30, all those fun levels. Daily higher low is now 1180 very clearly. And as far as an hourly higher low, didn't really establish one today. So anything above 1285 will be an hourly higher low. And this is a raging blue sky bull in the USMJ space over the last month. So lots of blue sky breakouts. And that's that. Pretty even spread today in terms of what the Canadian MJ space did and what the US MJ space did. Nothing really stood out with regards to one or the other, but we have some nice plays to be watching. LABS, I'll be looking to take some profit probably tomorrow, and going to be watching for equilibriums on the hourly for CL and OH. Keep an eye on the media blitz and what kind of attention we get. I was getting, Fidelity News releases all day today. The question is, are we going to get CEOs on CNBC, and are we going to see that route play out? So, Adventure Time, do good things. Thanks for watching. Have a great Saturday. No. Monday. Close. See you soon. For this chapter of Adventure Time, we're going to Capitol Reef National Park, and then we're going to Calf Creek Falls. Still making our way through Utah. And Capitol Reef is a cool one. It's similar in terms of landscape to other areas, but a little bit more majestic, magnificent, big rocks, some caves to nap in. And it's cool because they have an orchard inside the national park that they maintain, and some nice land and some farming in the middle of a national park. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. This looks like the gates of Mordor, just huge rock masses with roads passing in between them. Nice little natural tunnel, or I should say a natural bridge over here. Long stretches of open road, cool colored. I love how you can see, like I said in another video, pretty much just time, where the different shades of rock aging over time as it builds up on itself. And the road back. And this is one of the farms areas. And again, you wouldn't think Utah would have some nice lush green grass, but definitely a healthy farm. And you can buy the produce from the orchards while you're in the national park. Pretty cool setup they've got going. Then I went to Calf Creek Falls, just a nice little hike. I think it's a state park. Let's see, the difference between national parks and state parks, obviously size and funding and amenities. And there's less to do most of the time, but they're nice little stops and there's more of them. So some states have a ton of state parks that just have a little thing like this. You can walk up and take a little swim, and there's campsites and a campground. And I would travel, even when I wasn't, road tripping on a massive cross-country trip. I would, rather than stop at a hotel if I'm driving, 10 hours, I'd break up that drive by just camping in state parks along the way. You can camp for $10 as opposed to getting an $80 hotel room. This was some more petroglyphs on the side of a canyon here, and there was no sign. The trail to see this is, 100 to 200 yards away, and there was no sign that said don't leave the trail. So I left the trail and meandered my way up close. I had to cross a river and take all my clothes off and carry them over my head because it was up to my chest. That was a fun experience, a little midday adventure, and climbed up the rock and got real close to see the details of this painting. And we'll end it off with what I aptly named Blank Rock, and I'll let you all come up with your own names in the YouTube comments. This is in Kodachrome State Park. I think that's how you say it. I had Paul Simon's song stuck in my head the whole time I was there. But there were a lot of interesting rock shapes, as you can see. So that's it. We'll continue making our way through Utah. I believe we've got, forget the name of it, the next Bryce Canyon National Park's coming up next. Hope you all had a good Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.